President Trump touches down in Israel, on hand for the first hostage release in 2 years. The high-stakes diplomacy that could end the war. Plus, the government shutdown deepens, paychecks frozen, offices dark, and no deal on the horizon. And a South Carolina coastal town stunned. A night out turns deadly inside a popular bar. The stories that matter, clear and credible, from across the country to around the world. These are your unbiased updates from Straight Arrow News. Good morning, I'm Craig Negrelli. We begin this morning with major developments in the Middle East. Hamas has now handed over all 20 living hostages, marking a crucial step in the new ceasefire agreement. Israel's military confirms the hostages are now back on Israeli soil. The remains of 28 others are expected to be transferred later today as part of the first phase of the peace deal. In return, Israel is releasing hundreds of Palestinian prisoners. President Trump is in the region for the official signing of the ceasefire agreement, a deal he helped broker. He addressed Israel's parliament this morning before heading to Egypt, where the agreement will be formally signed.
This is not only the end of a war. This is the end of an age of terror and death and the beginning of the age of faith and hope and of God. It's the start of a grand concord and lasting harmony for Israel and all the nations of what will soon be a truly magnificent region. I believe that so strongly. This is the historic dawn of a new Middle East.
World leaders from across the globe are attending the ceremony, including Egypt's El-Sisi, British Prime Minister Keir Starmer, French President Emmanuel Macron, and Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney. In a last-minute shift, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu will attend the summit after all. Here in the U.S., 4 people are dead and at least 20 others injured after a mass shooting on South Carolina's St. Helena Island. It happened in the early morning hours on Sunday at Willie's Bar and Grill. Deputies say a large crowd was gathered when gunfire erupted. When officers arrived, they found multiple victims and chaos, people running to nearby homes and businesses for cover. 4 people were pronounced dead at the scene. Of the 20 injured, 4 remain in critical condition this morning. Authorities say they're investigating persons of interest but have not released names or a motive. There was a high school class reunion taking place at the time of the shooting. Congresswoman Nancy Mace, who represents the district, said she's completely heartbroken by the shooting, writing that her prayers are with the victims and their families. We are now on day 13 of the government shutdown with no end in sight. The Senate is not set to reconvene until tomorrow after failing for a 7th time last week to pass a spending bill. In a controversial move by the Trump administration, federal employees began getting notices on Friday that they're being laid off in 60 days. And over the weekend, Vice President J.D. Vance warned that deeper cuts to the federal workforce could come if the shutdown continues, even as Democratic leaders have pushed for negotiations.
It's a totally fair question, and the answer is because this isn't a deal-making, this isn't a negotiation, this is hostage-taking. The Chuck Schumer has not said to us, this is what we need. He said that unless you give us what we need, we're going to shut down the government. We don't negotiate with a person who has taken the entire federal government hostage over a health care policy dispute.
Vance said the government is willing to negotiate over health care policy, but only after Congress passes a bill to reopen the government. Democrats argue that Republicans are the ones to blame, refusing to accept a short-term bill that would fund the government through October, restore Medicaid cuts, and extend Affordable Care Act subsidies. So far, neither side is budging. Same topic now. Vice President J.D. Vance says the government shutdown is causing chaos, and that certainly seems true with the CDC. Hundreds of Centers for Disease Control employees are breathing a sigh of relief this morning after being mistakenly told they were laid off. A Trump administration official tells NBC News the mess was caused by, quote, a glitch in the system, and that none of the affected staff were actually separated from the agency. Each has been informed they still have a job. But the news is not as positive for others. Up to 1,200 employees at the Department of Health and Human Services received real layoff notices Friday as part of the mass federal workforce cuts unfolding during the shutdown. The Smithsonian Museums and the National Zoo have gone dark, shutting their doors as the government shutdown stretches into a 3rd week. After running on reserve funds since October 1st, the Smithsonian says it's out of money. A notice on its Instagram page said, due to the government shutdown, Smithsonian museums are temporarily closed beginning Sunday, October 12th. The National Zoo is also closed, though officials reassure the public the animals will continue to be fed and cared for. The one thing you won't see? The popular live animal cams. They're offline until funding returns. Thousands of tourists were turned away on the National Mall this weekend, some saying they flew from Canada and Australia only to find the doors locked. The museums and zoo will stay closed until Congress reaches a deal. And for now, there's no end in sight. Finally this morning, scientists in England have discovered a new species of ancient sword dragon. Now, the sword dragon is a type of large marine reptile called an ichthyosaur that lived roughly 190 million years ago. Wow, during the early Jurassic era. Look at that. The fossils were first unearthed back in 2001 along England's Jurassic Coast, a famous fossil site on the English Channel. For years, the specimen sat on display at the Royal Ontario Museum in Canada until researchers took a closer look last year and realized it was something entirely new. The team calls the discovery incredibly rare and a reminder that even fossils found decades ago can still rewrite history. How about that? Pretty neat. Before we head out, here's what we're tracking today. At 11, opening statements begin in the civil trial against the Los Angeles Angels, brought by the family of late pitcher Tyler Skaggs. Then at 11:30 in New York, the Columbus Day Parade kicks off, drawing thousands to Fifth Avenue. Out west, it's weigh-in day for Giant Gourds in Half Moon Bay, where farmers are hoping to smash last year's 1,500-pound record. It's like a multivitamin for your brain. Sign up for our Unbiased Updates newsletter, straight to your inbox each morning at san.com/newsletters. Those are your Unbiased Updates for this Monday. We'll see you back here tomorrow. For all of us here at Straight Arrow News, I'm Craig Negrelli. Have a great day.